How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today we're fixing something that's been on my nerves since I bought the car. Rust. Those of you who have been following my ultimate daily driver build will know that other than the usual dings and scratches, this car has been, it's pretty clean. I mean, it's not the best looking example in the world, but it is a daily driver. However, this car has a really annoying problem, and that is these rust bubbles. Well, they used to be rust bubbles because I sort of took a screwdriver and took out some of the paint, so all you can see is the rust underneath. Now, this does look pretty egregious. However, this rusty looking metal, as rusty as it is, still pretty solid. So it's not really flaking off that much, and I'm pretty sure that the metal inside is still solid. There's no holes. I mean, you can even look at it pretty close up. There's no holes anywhere. In anticipation of me taking this car and wrapping it in very, very high quality vinyl wrap, I have to do this body work, because otherwise, if I put the vinyl wrap just on here, you'll be able to see all these bubbles and imperfections. It's gonna look like crap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mask off this entire area and sand it down to bare metal. I'm going to apply some solution that neutralizes this rust, and then maybe I'll put some Bondo and primer it. I will not be painting this this panel. I'll just put some primer, and I think that's going to be it, because the vinyl wrap is going to go on relatively soon, I hope. Again, I'm not quite sure about the timeline here, but yeah, these are the most egregious things. There are some rust bubbles on the other side, but they're not as bad as this. So without further ado, let's get to sanding. All right, the sander did a decent enough job of removing paint right here, but it doesn't do much for rust. I actually had to use a hammer and little screwdriver here to take off some of the more egregious stuff. So I think I'm gonna have to use an angle grinder and just kind of lightly skim this, just to get it down to the bare metal, and it is still very solid. So I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, so I'm just going to use an angle grinder. Hopefully don't put any gouges into here. Then when I level it off, I'll just use a slight film of Bondo and then just sand it down flat. And I have to do the same for that side. Okay, so good news and bad news. Most of the rust was ground away pretty easily. There's still a little bit of pitting, and you can definitely sense that it's really wavy. but Bondo will cover this up pretty quickly. However, there was a little hole, and I just ground it away. So what I'm going to do is instead of like replacing this entire panel, I'm just since the rust isn't really going past here, I'm going to just put a little tack weld and just weld this up. This is, you can see how small it is. It's basically, you know, maybe a quarter the size of my fingernail. So just put a little tack weld here and then grind it off, and then this should be good as new. And the metal around it is pretty solid. It's not really going anywhere. And over here, it's all pretty darn solid as well. No holes. It's just a bunch of pits. So after I do this weld, I'm just going to give the rust treatment. I also ground the underside as well, and that's looking, you know, pretty much the same as this. And I did that part. So, oh, there's no holes over there either. So without further ado, I'm going to weld this up and then give this all a nice little rust treatment. All right, so this is a bit of bad news. The metal was a bit more thin, or a bit thinner, than I originally thought. So what it did was it just burned a hole in the really thin metal. So this is gonna have to wait till tomorrow, and only then can I make a little bit of a patch piece. I'll have to cut this out just a little bit more, put a patch piece, and sort of try to weld it without this thing melting on me. And yeah, it's not the best. Well, at least this isn't like aluminum or something. But then again, if it was aluminum, then it wouldn't be rusting, so that doesn't make any sense. The rest of the panel looks pretty good, and I think it's just gonna need that rust treatment and a skimming of Bondo, and it should be okay. But this is gonna be the main problem that hopefully doesn't give me too much of a headache. So yeah, fingers crossed, and tomorrow I will get the metal from Home Depot. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. I know it was probably a short one. Didn't get a lot done, but this is just part one of the extensive body work that's going into this car. So yeah, stay tuned for part two when I hopefully get some metal on that hole that I just made. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys have been really, really good at smashing that like button. You know, giving me a thumbs up, and it's really encouraging to me. I like doing things that other people like, and who doesn't, right? But it's very important to me that I share all this crazy crap that I do with my used cars, with you, with my viewers. So thank you for that. But next time will be extra special because that's when I take